there was a time when I would be there and be lonely, and I sensed emptiness, and I even sensed that it was going to be taken away, and didn't know what that would mean.
We've got Paul on the phone right now from Canberra, and Paul, you were just saying during the song that you've been, I guess, a witness to the fact that from little things, big things grow. Well, how has that shown out in your life listening to Vision?
Yeah, g'day, Robbo, Becci, Phil. I was listening when you were talking to Pinky the Truckie, and very much he was talking about blessing others in small gifts and encouraging through the small things growing into big things. And for me, that's been my story too. In 7 years ago, 2015, 2016, living in Cooma, a regional town in New South Wales near the snow. And I had a corporate role that would take me to Sydney, and but all of a sudden that corporate role got ripped out of my feet, and I found myself in a situation where I had to drive more than 120 kilometres to Canberra to work. And this is a bit of a disorientating time for me and my family. But what had happened is that I started to listen to Vision Radio, and at first it was just a bit of background chatter, but it grew on me. And meantime, God was using a small but bustling Christian community in Canberra, YWAM Canberra, where I could board a couple of nights a week. And what had actually happened is that over this time, slowly but surely, I could see that Vision, the messages for Vision, wasn't just the background chatter, but it became a major source for encouragement and inspiration.
That's awesome.
And really a compass back to Jesus.
Wow.
And meantime, God was also working through the YWAM Canberra community, and they've just demonstrated in action what those words mean. So not only just getting the message from Vision, but also seeing in action and very much through the little things, how just doing the little things can demonstrate God's love.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It's so good, and it's interesting, isn't it? Like you go through a time that you said was very disorienting. I mean, you think, oh man, I've lost my job. What's going to happen? It's a bit of a valley, and yet God's shown up for you in that valley, hasn't he? And he's really, I guess, lifted your gaze to a higher plateau.
Yeah, so I went from staying in plush hotels every fortnight when I'd travel to Sydney for my corporate role, but there was a time when I would be there and be lonely, and I sensed emptiness, and I even sensed that it was going to be taken away, and didn't know what that would mean. And then obviously eventuated that it meant that my job was lost. However, I remember the first night that I stayed at YWAM Canberra, and they took me to my room. Someone guided me to a room, and on it, in some masking tape, was my name, Paul, written on it. And, I think it's an old nunnery, actually. So it's they're small dorms, but it was very welcoming, and it was just what I needed. And it was the little things, not the big things, that mattered.
Yeah, that's so good.
Sometimes we all need to be reminded of that.
Yeah, that's it.
We can get so busy in life and have our eyes focused on something else. And, it is the little things.
That's it. So maybe your little gift today can make a huge difference. You never know what that seed that you sow is going to make a difference for someone, bringing help, hope and healing into their life. And, of course, Pinky's put that challenge out this morning. He said, look, if you maybe just have a little gift, if you're a first-time giver, give a little gift. He's going to put an extra $50 on top to encourage you to step out. And we've already had 10 people that have done that.
That's amazing.
So we've got, he's saying, look, the 100 people, 100 first-timers, he was going to give an extra $50 on top of each of those gifts. So maybe you can be one of those this morning and join in, giving your little thing. But as Paul says, from little things, big things do grow. So be a part of it this morning. Thanks so much, Paul, for your support, mate.
Buddy.
And great to hear your story, hear what God's been doing in your life.
Yeah. Hey, can I just give a shout out for YWAM Canberra? They're gearing up next year for their DTS, and that starts in January. So 6 months course there, and then I believe they've even got a whole year course, which is a youth ministry traineeship known as the Gateway Project. So if people are looking to do that or they're interested, and they want to do it in the southern states, Canberra, is a good place to do it.
Brilliant.
Oh, wow.
Okay, well,
Thanks,
check them
Paul.
out. You can Google that one and, get involved with a very supportive community, as Paul described them. So thanks, mate. Appreciate your support.
No worries. Thanks, Robbo. Thanks, Beck and Phil.
You can be a part of it right now. There's someone giving online. Thank you. They've just hit submit at vision.org.au. Or, of course, you can tap donate on the app as well. Or call 1-800 316 316. We've got volunteers here ready to take your call this morning. You can be a part of it as we head towards this next $10,000 project for another Vision station to be funded.